Hi guys. Alright, so just wanted to talk a little bit about the past couple of days. Good and bad. Mostly good things. We went for a hike on Saturday. It was a wonderful hike. Fred got a little sick. I thought he had swallowed a foxtail, which he might have swallowed it, but if he did, it passed. But he wasn't feeling too great. Then at the vet they had to, sedate him heavily, so he was very tired going into yesterday. Oh, I'm sorry. He says, stop bugging me. I'm trying to sleep. Stop bugging me. I'm trying to sleep. So anyhow, for the most part, great day yesterday, but he did get a little bit grumpy with Clancy. There was a treat on the table, and we were trying to sort of challenge Fred to get the treat by standing on his hind legs and working at it to get it or whatever, and then Clancy came up behind him and he kind of grouched at Clancy and kind of went after him, which it just sucks, it sucks when those things happen, and it was no big deal, and of course Clancy and Fred both forgot about it after 1 second, and we're trying to do the same and just sort of move forward from those things and realize that I'm starting to realize when those things happen, it's mostly because I am not paying attention. Most of the time I'm totally paying attention. I know by now what his triggers are. Anytime there's food involved, it's tricky, and I have to pay close attention to other dogs approaching him when there's food around. What happened, I think, yesterday was that, but it was also a matter of what trainers sometimes call trigger stacking, which means that, sorry about the rough cameras angle and everything here, but I want you to be able to see Fred more so than me. Trigger stacking meaning it's just like with us, like if you stack a bunch of stresses on, one on top of the other, you're going to be more reactive than you would be. Like, let's say you didn't sleep at all the night before, you got a phone call with some really bad news, first thing in the morning, you spilled coffee all over yourself at work, by noon you have several different stressors that have stacked up, making you, quick to blow. So I think that's basically what happened. Fred was very tired. I mean, he was tired from good things like hiking and having a lot of sun and that sort of thing, but also from, having had the medical procedure and that sort of thing. So I just needed to be paying more attention, and so I was just reading a quote in a book. This book is called The Midnight Dog Walkers Club, and it's really good, about halfway through it, and it's about dealing with reactivity issues using positive reinforcement. No punishment, no fear, no intimidation, no punitive methods whatsoever. And basically that's what she was saying, was that, with a little bit of, or I don't know if it was her quote or someone else's, but she's in the book, it says, you can, with a little foresight and planning, you can essentially ward off most bad things. And so tonight on our walk, we had an interesting experience. And when I took Fred and Clancy out, it was about dusk. We saw some other dogs up ahead. Fred got real anxious, and Clancy got anxious because he was responding to Fred. So rather than struggling through it, I decided I'm not going to add insult to injury and, stack on stress to the situation by just plowing through. And then, because I was getting frustrated that I, wasn't in control of the situation, and by yanking on the dogs and telling them to be quiet or pulling them back, it just was not, we were all stressed out. So I took them back home. I dropped Clancy off. I took Fred back out with food. I had a food pouch. We went out, and in other words, I had a plan, and I was working on doing something preventatively, sort of having control of the situation to start out with, as opposed to just going out, seeing what happened, and then, in a frustrated display of ego, which was me feeling like I didn't know what to do and I had lost control, and then I'm yanking on the dogs, and it just was not working. So instead, I had the food. I was working with Fred on loose leash walking. In other words, rewarding him for walking on a loose leash, rewarding him for things like stopping at the command stop, looking at me, giving me eye contact, sitting, that sort of thing. And then what I would do is I would toss, because I want him to be on a loose leash and walking. I also want him to be able to sniff, but I want it to be, again, I want it to all be sort of under my command. So what I would do is I would then say, go sniff, and he doesn't know what that means right now. So I would toss a treat in the grass, and he would naturally sniff to find it because it was getting dark at that point. In other words, he couldn't just see it immediately. So he, would sniff and find the treat, right? Well, in the meantime, there were some people walking down the street. There was another dog barking behind a fence. There was somebody, dragging their trash can down the driveway. And he was too busy sniffing and using his nose and using his mind and thinking and being involved in, this behavior where, I was calm and I was in control. So he was listening to me and going, oh, okay, I'm responding to what I was saying, rather than both he and I reacting to one another emotionally. It was much calmer than that. So, and then we, it just was going really great. And then we ended up back by that fence where, the other night when I had posted the video about when he was all stressed out, there was this particular dogs behind this particular fence that stress him out. Well, tonight, by the time we came all the way around to that fence, which is close to our house, close to being back at our house, he was really into this game. And so I'm tossing treats right on the lawn, and I'm saying, okay, go sniff. And then he would find the treat. And then I would say, without throwing a treat, I would say, go sniff. So then he would go, oh yeah, I know what that means. So he would sniff, and then I'd throw the treat. So that was the next incarnation of it. That was making it, the next level of challenge. So anyway, had he been nervous or anxious, I would have, removed him from being that close to the fence. I would have taken him across the street and worked some commands over there so he wouldn't be over threshold, but he wasn't. He was fine. So it was a completely different experience. It was a completely different walk, and it was all because I was working on things preventatively and with a plan and from a place of control, like true control, not like I have control over you because I can yank on your leash and drag you down the street away from these other dogs. Not that type, because that's not actually control. That's the ego going out of control, feeling like, and I go there, believe me, just like every other dog guardian does. When you get to that point where you're frustrated, and especially when Fred lashes out at Clancy or something, I feel terrible about it, and I feel mostly terrible because I want to help Fred. I don't want to be mad at him. I don't want to be frustrated with him. So when I am frustrated, it's not at him, it's just in general, but I don't want to show him that. I want to be the one who says, hey, it's okay, I got it. And so anyway, I'm getting there. I'm learning in the moment as we go. So we're both learning. We have our ups and downs, just like everyone, just like in every situation. We have our challenges, but then we have a success like tonight, and it reminds me that, it's just gonna take time, and life takes time. It's not like you get to one point and you're like, okay, everything's perfect now. We can stop learning, we can stop growing. It just doesn't work that way. So anyway, these videos end up being way too long, but I hope you found value in that story and just in looking at Fred's sweet, sleepy face. I know I always find value in that. So we'll see you guys later.